Hello, everyone. This is PamelaTopjian, and today I want to discuss spiritual health. So, I talk a lot about mental health, holistic health, and I think that there's not enough discussion around our spiritual health. So, that's what I want to talk about today. And people may shy away from this because we don't want to get into talk about religion usually. However, spiritual health doesn't have anything to do with religion, or it can, but it certainly doesn't have to. It's not one and the same. In my mind, it's really more about your overall personal well-being within your heart and within your soul. And it's all connected, right? Your mind, your body, and your soul. So your sense of connection, your sense of purpose, and alignment with something deep within and with the whole of everything. This is very personal, and it may or may not have to do with God or any other type of entity or being or belief system. It may or may not, for you, have to do with nature, the universe, our intuition, our ancestral lineage, any morals or ethics, or something else. You might find it helpful to ask yourself or even use these as journaling prompts. Do I feel connected? And if so, what do I feel connected with? Do I feel aligned with my morals and my ethics and my values? Is my life a reflection of my morals, ethics, and values? Or does my life have a deeper meaning in any way? Or do I feel like I have a sense of purpose or any meaning within my life? When you have good spiritual health, you will feel some inner peace. Even during some times of difficulty, there'll still be a feeling of inner peace. You will feel a sense of trust, faith, or hope within your life and within the world, and a feeling of clarity around your values and a deep compassion for others. These are all signs that you are spiritually healthy. Okay, so what if you're not spiritually healthy? How do we go about spiritual healing when your connection has been disrupted through different types of trauma, which can include grief, betrayal, a feeling of guilt or shame, or religious harm, or burnout? With true spiritual healing, we're not bypassing any of that pain. We're not diminishing any of that pain. And speaking of bypassing, I'm not going to get into spiritual bypassing in this video, but I will for next week. So what's needed and might be really helpful for some to work around reconnecting with your meaning, your purpose of life, to repair any relationships if you can, including repairing relationships with yourself, and to find your own personal truth, releasing any guilt or inherited beliefs that were never yours in the first place, and finding a connection between your inner world and your outer world. You can do this work through different self-help methods, or find a therapist or other type of practitioner to help guide you. And I can't say this without mentioning that I do have a podcast, Holistic Connections, Conversations with Holistic Practitioners. All types of holistic practitioners sharing with you and explaining what they do in the holistic healing world. And there's a playlist on this channel, and then it's also on podcast platforms. So you might find something in there that will help you with your spiritual healing. So some of the things you might want to work around is forgiveness, or coming up with some rituals, prayers, or meditations, different types of nature therapy, grounding therapy, or inner child work, or shadow work. There's so many methods and different types of therapies that can be really helpful with all of these things, and finding what's going to be best for you because it's very personal. And a lot of times, different therapies, methods, and practices work well together. They will complement each other for a deep healing. But just like anything, it might take some patience and diligence to find what's going to be best for you. So when we talk about spiritual health and spiritual healing, we cannot separate this from physical and mental health. Holistic health is all about understanding that we are not just parts, but we are a whole. So balance is important with this. Our mental health is about your thoughts and your feelings and your emotions. And our physical health is all about the biological body. And spiritual health is about connection and alignment and a deeper understanding. And all of those things are interconnected. So balance is really important. And I think that I already mentioned that, but it really is. And they do overlap. So, recognizing that you can be physically healthy and spiritually lost. You can have mental health issues, but be spiritually healthy. So, what do you do to keep yourself spiritually healthy? And if you don't feel like you are, what have you been doing to try to work on this? I meditate daily. I have had hypnotherapy sessions, I've had Reiki sessions, I've had traditional therapy, and I do have a connection with a couple close friends, which is an overlap with mental health. I do some intuitive practices and I read books on the subject. And there's probably more things that I'm not thinking of right now. But next week, like I said, next week we will talk about spiritual bypassing because I really don't think you can have a conversation about being spiritually healthy without talking about spiritual bypassing. And that's a phrase that more of us have heard of than talking about being spiritually healthy. We've heard more about mental health, holistic health, and spiritual bypassing. But I'm going to discuss it next week. So I very much appreciate you being here, and I hope that this was helpful for you in some way. And as always, I wish you all so much love, so much healing, and inner peace.